So, see any good moves lately? Welcome back to the finale coverage of Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. That's right, it's the finale coverage, and I am Joey, and I'm so pleased to be joined by the one, the only, honestly, the man, the myth, the legend. I would say, in my opinion, a god, a deity of some kind, Sunder. How you doing, Sunder?
Sunder, baby. Sunder. That's day. Yeah, that's it. I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back. I'm nice and sunburnt. It's
Yeah.
good to get the world is healing. The season is over. Uh, God is with us again. We can both put this season to wraps and prepare for the next, and also enjoy the time as it comes.
It's crazy because Survivor 50 was a season of Survivor that recently ended. And the thing about it is, we were on this podcast after episode 1 and talking about the things that happened. But honestly, so many things happened between Jenna Lewis going home and the end of this season. I mean, we went to Toronto for one thing.
Hmm.
But even beyond that, there were so many episodes of television. It was ridiculous. So I mean, but before we really get into, I guess, the meat and potatoes of this episode and this finale episode, I guess I just want to ask you, like, what what can be said about Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans? What would you say about the season?
I think I said this to a lot of people actually in Toronto, and I think it is kind of my thesis on the season. It is excellent players doing good gameplay with like reasonable outcomes, and all of it's exciting. The problem is, or not reasonable outcome, but it leads to reasonable and unfortunate outcomes. That's
Hmm.
the thing, is that like everything tells you, okay, this is why people are doing this. No one's really making any completely irrational moves. People are playing pretty reasonably. Or at least you understand their logic as to like why I'm doing this.
Sure.
But then everything that happens is like, I know this is coming, and it's going to be a dagger to the heart, because as much as I know that it's like within someone's good decision to get rid of Genevieve, I don't want it to happen. With whether it's their good decision to get rid of Coach or Colby or anyone else that you've learned to love or have already loved in this season, it's unfortunate to see it come, but you know it's coming, and it is both entertaining and heartbreaking at the same time. And that's kind of just the story of the season. It really like is a through line throughout the entire season, in my mind, at least.
Yeah, I think that's a good perspective on the matter, and I think a good way to like kind of summarize where we are with the season is something that I feel like I've been kind of hitting the nail on the head with the past few podcast episodes, but that I mean it does apply, which is like, you know, look at our final five. Like
Yeah.
it's Jonathan, it's Rizzo, it's Joe, it's Tiffany, it's Aubrey, and even if you're the biggest Aubrey fan in the world, which like is all the more valid to do now that she's won. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, Even still, going into the season, I still. I mean, for me, this would have been a crazy final five just in terms of like, where's the intrigue? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. Not to say that. Well, I mean, we'll get into it, but I think just from pure like boot order, I think the season. Well, it wasn't ideal. Like there were so many other contestants, even if it was just one of like a Genevieve, a Camilla, or a Coley or whatever. Here, the intrigue
Mm-hmm.
levels would have spiked. You know what I mean? Versus here,
Yeah.
where I
I
don't
mean, even
necessarily feel that way.
even even Sari being one last step deeper, you're kind of more on the like, she's in the finale. Can she do
Yeah.
it?
Yep. Yep.
She can't. It won't
Yeah.
happen. They
Yeah.
they gave her a participation trophy, which we know and love. But
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Um, but I mean, I guess let's get into that participation trophy because that's kind of the first thing that happens this finale episode is first of all, live finale. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Live finale, nothing
Yeah.
can go wrong. But you
Never.
know, Sari got voted out in the last episode. Her and Brick Devins. It was very tragic. I cried multiple times, openly and out loud. And you know what? Jeff said, hey, here's this trophy that shows that you have the spirit of survivor within you.
I
Yeah.
I I think really the thing is that like Suri has so much in every capacity defined exactly what they want the show to be
Hmm.
for so long that it feels wrong for her to not go out with some sort of official title. Like
Yeah.
having best to never win, that's a title that obviously could change in the future, maybe won't, but like obviously kind of a nebulous title that can be like argued about. They want to at least show some sort of major gratification, like major thank you, and say, hey, look, we're giving you this. We appreciate you a lot. You really have been probably the most important player in the game to never win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so much of new era casting is just them trying to find like not even that, but like so much of just the way Jeff views the show is defined around Sarit. Like she is really the person who I think you could really say like defined how he views the game. He's so much latched on to like get off the couch and come play, be a normal person and define yourself through being on Survivor. And
Yeah.
no quote unquote normal person, like obviously Reed's very gifted, but she had to tap into that. She had to learn to find that through the game. And nobody defines that like her. Nobody finds
Yeah.
any of the values that Jeff pushes and really enjoys until now. Because even though, like, again, she can be a little villainous, a little snarky, but like at the end of the day, she's someone you can't help but love. And that explains a lot of decisions that Jeff has made throughout this. Um, everything she has done and been is really defines what Survivor is now.
Yeah, and I think that's very true, and I think it also speaks to I think just like they captured lightning in the bottle with Suri, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like they've been I wouldn't say trying to replicate it, but they've been trying to harness that bottle. They've been
Mm-hmm.
trying to
Mm-hmm.
use it to create other mini series around, or at least
Yeah.
this pocket of like extremely like genuine and completely unafraid to be themselves, but also at the same time strategic and knows the game, but also at the same time knows how to be a narrator, but also at the same time knows how to be funny. And it's like
Yeah.
you know it's not
Yeah.
easy to do, but I feel like that's what the casting has come down to nowadays.
The only thing she really hasn't defined in the game is idols. Like advantages are the only thing she kind of hasn't totally um changed. Really, like
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say like idols, adventures, and maybe challenges a little bit, but like it's both of those have never been really her strong suits, but like everything that has been a strong suit of hers has been so much of a strong suit that it defines everything.
Yeah, and I think even in terms of idols, you could argue that hey, after Game Changers, that there aren't as many idols around. There's
Hmm.
still a lot of advantages, but maybe they're not all manifesting in pure safety anymore.
Yeah.
So maybe she changed that too. But to get back to the Spirit of Survivor award for a second, it's a very important award as we all know, but this kind of and a lot of this like reunion stuff that we see kind of leads me to a question, which is like between Suri and Ozzy and Stephanie, who we'll get to, and all these other people, is this Jeff basically saying, "All right, get out. You're not allowed to come back anymore"? Like,
I don't think he's saying get out. I think he's saying the book is closed.
yeah,
I think maybe like Ozzy could get one more, but like Ozzy's narrative is so like almost
well,
airtight. We thought
yeah,
it wouldn't get better. We thought it wouldn't get better after South Pacific. Because obviously Game Changer is kind of a dud there, but like
oh
we thought
boy,
it wouldn't
yeah,
get better after that, and yet somehow he finds a way it does.
hmm
Or even if it doesn't get better, it stays the same. It doesn't get worse, and that's kind of a hard thing too. The more you have of someone, that storyline can normally either go up or down, and
yeah.
to have it stagnate is honestly good when it's a good storyline. It's like okay, you know what, this is fine. We still have a net positive here of it just not being dog shit anymore. But I think especially for like Stephanie, I don't want to see her on my TV no more.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like I don't want to see her out there anymore. And I think like it's a reasonable decision for production to be like, you know what? Hey, thank you for what you brought, But like I think a lot of these players, especially going in, even we knew it was coming for the Colbys and the Jennas of the world.
hmm
But like we knew this was going to be the book closing on a lot of people. This was going to be the end.
yeah,
This was going to be their last shot, as almost defined as it could ever really be. This would be the last one, and why not in like this massive, all hands on deck season, to really cap their careers off. So I think it makes a lot of sense for them to do it, and I wouldn't say it's really a get out of here, but more of like this is your last shot. You're getting old. We can't put you on like in good faith.
yeah.
We can only put you on in good faith so many times. And as much as people are like, we want 70-year-old players, it's like
I would
the
love that.
70-year-old players we've had have been anomalies. Like the fact that and some of these players, and like I would not want to see them trying to do some of these challenges. As much as you say like, oh, things have gotten soft, it's like we have to at some point have some level of like, hey, maybe people shouldn't die out here. Like maybe we should just like take reasonable guesses and say, yeah, I don't want to see like someone be able to be completely taken out by just like a stake reward. I like who I understand if you're like that's your kind of game of one guy has a stake reward and now he's like basically dying, but like we're not different strokes for different folks in my mind.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's all very fair. I just think it creates an interesting question of like, Suri feels like okay, that's probably it. Though of course things are very subject to change. But somebody like Ozzy, who you brought up, is a good question of like, how do you really know? Because I feel like
Mhm.
if you're editing a Survivor season, it's like editing the Legend of Korra or something like that. You never know when it's going to end for a
Yeah.
castaway, so you don't know you I guess you always have to assume you have to wrap a bow on their story unless it's like very much like, all right, well, you'll be back, like a Christian or a
Yeah.
probably a Rizzo or someone like that.
Which
So
actually, sorry, going back to to Christian and Ozzy here. Ozzy's only 4 years older than Christian.
yeah, yeah,
And
that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
It's
Rick. I didn't realize Ozzy was that young, really. Like at least not to say totally young. I mean, Stephanie's also 45, but or at least was 45 at the time of filming, but like they are all reasonable ages here. To the point of saying that like, yeah, I could see them maybe not return, but like, yeah, I could see them be of age to return here, or at least get maybe one more shot down the line.
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Rupert was like 37 or something on Pearl Islands, and they just kept bringing him back. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like it's a sense of like, hey,
Mhm.
we're not bringing back anybody over 30 or whatever. Like there's especially on this season two, I feel like
Yeah.
even though old man Colby broke his bones or whatever, I think for the most part, like even Stephanie was very good in the challenges, all things
Yeah.
considered. Like I think Ozzy had his moments, Coach had his moments.
hmm
Joe is like what? He's in his 40s or something. Like
Joe's 45 or was 45 at the time of filming. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like the nature of age is very subjective in Survivor. Just because like isn't Jungle Boy anymore doesn't mean he's still not physically fit to compete.
hmm
He could play again at least once.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And,
It's interesting.
yeah. And the one thing for me is like, as much as I love to see some of these people get one more shot, like, I mean, again, like we heard this from me on episode 1. I loved Colby showing you. I
hmm
really did. As my I was right to have stock. I was right to have the high stock in him. He was playing exceptionally. Um, he's someone who like I'm like God. I just wish it went better.
Yeah.
And obviously the natural conclusion to that is, well, God, I just wish you played again. But like, I don't know. It feels narratively complete to say, you know what? He got his one, like that one last shot, and he really brought his A game. and it's bittersweet, but not all things are meant to just be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they have to be bitter too, and I think it's fine to say, you know what, it's closed there. The story's closed. He gave it his best shot, but the forces of the universe conspired against him and his body. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think that's all very good points, and I think it just is interesting because this is like the first returnee season we've gotten in so long. It's
yeah,
interesting that it's like it, especially also with the live reunion. It's like you get the sprinkles of like you actually see like even not in an online setting of all of the appreciation for like a Suri or somebody, and like
hmm
Jeff playing up how much people like contestants like Ozzy and Suri, and it's like I mean, this is the show right here.
hmm
This is the spirit of Survivor.
yeah,
It's. I mean, I'm not saying we have to be the challenge and bring CT back 10 million times or anything like that. But I mean, like,
yeah.
you know,
I
it's
yeah.
yeah,
I think the one thing for me is there are people who I think who I would rather there are a lot of people who I'd rather see come back first over a lot of these people. Like as much as I love Ozzy, I'd rather see like I don't know, and Andy. I'd rather see Andy come back over Ozzy now. Maybe
sure.
it's because Ozzy just finished, but like, and I'm not even a big Andy guy. I just think I'd rather see if we are going to be given opportunity for returnees in the future, go for some newer people. Again in that like counter shot to what do you call it? To like the challenge. I think
Yeah.
reusing the same people over and over again like inherently reduces the value of them. It's like that's why at least for some of these people you're like, oh my god, like I
I
mean, yeah.
actually I disagree with that. And the reason I disagree with that is like I think the further on we get in Survivor, the more, the legend status will become
Yeah.
ubiquitous, especially with the older era contestants when let's be real, like Survivor's still a big deal,
Yeah.
but when Survivor was a big deal, you know,
hmm
uh, Ozzy and Suri and even Coach to some extent,
Yeah.
Colby certainly. Like these are players that are indicative of like truly when Survivor was at its peak. So I think
hmm
having a returnee season in the future, let's say even if it's like 2 years from now, 2028, and not having any of those names, especially the ones that we've seen return before. Like, you could be like, they could bring back Sean Rector, and I would love that. But at the same time, that's not gonna get the casual fan to be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
they eliminated Sean Rector. Someone like there are only
Yeah.
so many names in Survivor history you can bring back, and it'll have that ubiquitous nature.
Yeah.
Like, eh,
Yeah, I mean, while I see that perspective, I think that like it is just one of those things of like at least from my perspective, like maybe not being the casual, it's like I love Coach, but at some point, like some people will become flanderized versions of themselves, and the
and
more we
Coach
see, yeah,
definitely was this season. Yeah, for sure.
Coach was, and like having him back more again would not fix that. I mean, hell, Angelina came back on her second time, and she basically was like that's one of those things that happens where like you really yeah, you just lose the value there, especially like with these people, because at the end of the day they are people, and the
Yeah.
more they keep coming back, the more it feels like potentially they are checking in for a role as an actor rather than just getting the opportunity to come out and play the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's true, but I also think that's kind of the nature of signing up for a TV show and
Yeah,
knowing that you've already done it.
I mean,
Like,
actually, that was one of the criticisms of players on this season about other players. Actually, was very much this idea of like they came in more media trained or like talking about like, oh, how much screen time I get. That was a conversation of people on the show talking
yeah.
about that kind of stuff, viewing that more, presenting themselves not as themselves but as a marketable version of themselves. Um,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's just what happens when you have an agent. And
yeah.
I think once you've played Survivor one time and you know you're going to be back on the show again, you get an agent or an agent talks
Yeah.
to you. So I mean, like I don't
I
I
I
yeah.
Yeah, having a brand matters a lot.
Like the show I think about with this type of stuff, I literally just mentioned it, is The Challenge, and The Challenge
Yeah.
is all about that. Like, everybody goes on the show
Hmm.
trying to basically market themselves, not even
Yeah.
necessarily as, like, "I want you to like me," but in the way that it's like, "I want to be remembered, and I want to be brought
Yeah.
back in the future." And it's interesting because The Challenge just well, not just, but last year did a season of vets versus new threats, and it was interesting the dichotomy of, like, most of the vets were doing that, if not all of the vets were doing that, is, pushing through their brand that people know from years and years and years.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the new people mostly didn't have a brand and were just like, what are you guys doing? We're here to play a game. I'm here to win.
Yeah.
It's very different and very refreshing. But it also,
Hmm.
there were exceptions, like Survivor contestants were much more about their brand versus Love
Yeah.
Island contestants or whatever. So.
Well, I actually think one of the things that like is in casting now, and I think it matters at least for like, and actually in a lot of our lives, because I think it's like same for casting as with like dating apps and stuff. It's like figuring out how to market yourself.
Yeah,
A lot of it is in the world now. Market yourself for this purpose in life rather than like being yourself naturally. Like if you're
for
on a
sure.
dating app, you have this much, you have an elevator pitch of saying why you should go out with me. You know,
Yeah,
why am I a desirable person? And like that's what the show makes you do too, right? You have these people come on the show and they've just spent however long in casting going, this is what makes me a unique person. This is why you need to pick me. And that's going to be within the nature of the show no matter what. I think it's just within production to take them once they've done this version of themselves, because they bring it so through in casting because they need to. That's a
yeah,
survival method, right? Is to bring that because you can only present your honest self so much, but like you have to really, really present and sell that, or at least that's how it feels. And then at the end of that, it's like, okay, now in this last moment, you need to take them and you need to say, all right, you've done all that. You've sold us that way. We have to strip you down to your bone. You have to be you. You can't like, and the thing is that some people when they get out there still are that marketed version of themselves running into the real self. And I think that's why some people are iffy on the casting now, because people still are that. But I think it's still fine, it's still good, and people are still themselves out there. But
sure.
like it is something you can kind of notice, right? It's why you have like I know RIZGOD, Rizgod baby, because he's done that. That is his brand.
Yeah, I think going back to the surreal of it all, it's survivors looking for
Hmm.
people who are authentically marketable, but more and more often the people who
Hmm.
are on the show are people who are authentically themselves, comma, and also marketing themselves. They're
Hmm.
authentic, but also they're going to Adam Klein for help on how to get casted. You know,
Yeah.
Theoretically, I guess intrinsically, in my opinion, that's not something that should work in tandem. If you're doing one, you can't do the other, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're getting on the show regardless, so maybe it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So,
Yeah.
anyways, Survivor 50. Um,
Yes.
an
Yeah.
interesting side discussion, but there is an episode of television, and it's not just handing out awards, though it does feel that way
Yeah.
sometimes. We had a really good Final Five challenge here, where the challenge was a big puzzle, essentially. I mean, there was other stuff beforehand, but it's always a
W
big
puzzle.
puzzle.
W puzzle.
Um, Big giant round circle. And it comes down to one piece. A what? One piece of Jonathan and Tiffany. And first of all,
Yeah.
I like this puzzle a lot. I think it looks cool. But Jonathan is able to pull it out by one piece despite vomiting. Um,
I actually think he got the vomit buff. I think there's something that changed him as a person in the vomit that
yeah,
allowed him to be okay at puzzles enough to beat Tiffany. Um, and I think what every tribe needs to be doing if he ever plays again. Kind of, I hope not. But if it does happen and you're on his tribe and you go, okay, Jonathan, we're going to do this section of the stuff. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. And then you're also going to be in a puzzle. And what
yeah.
you're going to do is right before you get to that puzzle, I'm going to punch you in the stomach as hard as I can. And, or you're shoving your hand down your throat. You're doing one or the other.
Yeah.
Either way, you got to do that. Turn around, do some puzzle, get to business, then come back and say, Mom, I threw up. And then we're like, get on the puzzle again.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Jonathan's going to be the new puzzle challenge piece no one's going to think about. With the puzzle buff, he basically becomes Christian Hideki. Like,
I think
just the vomit buff makes him good at puzzles.
I think there's something to be said for this. I don't know how true it is, but there's something to be said for it for sure.
Yeah.
I will say this. This whole episode, in my opinion, is about two things. It's about why did Aubrey win and why did Jonathan lose.
Yeah.
And I think this whole sequence of what we're going to get when Jonathan wins is indicative, is basically all you need to see in order to know why Jonathan lost, in my opinion.
I feel like there's a couple clips that you could put that are not Jonathan Young here that explain the vibe of what Jonathan Young is about to get up to.
Yes, let me just show the picture, because the picture here is Jonathan wins and immediately basically does the worm. I don't know.
Well, he does one thrust of the worm.
Yes.
He does one thrust.
But I have so many questions to break down. First of all, I almost think it was an accident, because why did he do one thrust?
No, I think what happens is he goes for one thrust, but then it's like, I shouldn't keep doing this because I just threw up. I think that's a very reasonable possibility. I think he's like, I did one and I can't do more right now. And also maybe I think that's like a very real possibility. He's just like, I feel like I could do more, but I just can't. I actually would have much rather seen him go for his monkey run that we saw in season 42.
Yeah, I think regardless, I think this is the most insane pop off I've ever seen on Survivor.
It's up there because I watch a lot of Melee. We've talked about a lot of Melee. That is a esport where people tend to do Wanda Biedma, also known as Hungry Box. He's well known for his pop offs, his celebrations.
Something hilarious. I was literally thinking this is an H-Box pop-off, but I wasn't going to say it because I was like, no one knows what that means.
I didn't think you were watching the episode because I saw pictures of you still in Colorado. So I texted you while it happened. This is an H-Box pop-off. And then you didn't immediately respond. And I saw the picture of you and I went, oh no, he's not watching. I spoiled it. But I immediately messaged you. I was like, dude, that's crazy. And in another place where I was discussing it as it was coming out, I sent multiple gifts, but actually more of Cody Schwab's reverse pop-off, which felt more apt because that one kind of was more movement, was H-Box's more one moment of glory, including breaking a chair.
Yeah. My God.
So we need to keep Jonathan away from chairs if he ever wins another challenge.
Mm-hmm. Or else he'll get a crab thrown at him or something. I don't know. But anyways, I want to show one other picture other than just the worm, which I really think captures the spirit of this, which is not only does Jonathan do one thrust of the worm, he also just starts yelling. And you have to remember, there ain't music in Fiji. Like he's just screaming. And I love this picture because I really think it sums it up, where Jonathan Young is screaming with all the intensity of the world, and meanwhile Riz God just looks so dead inside.
Yeah. I will say, in defense of pop-offs, a pop-off is reasonable.
Sure.
To an extent. Jonathan takes it and he makes it an event. If you win, you got to do like a let's go, and then that's about it. Maybe like an extra thing, maybe like a Dragon Slayer like fist pump. You're like,
even
I mean,
yeah.
But I'm saying, okay, if you're not coach, you can get away with it.
Sure.
Coach at this point can't get away with it, even though like it is his brand. We're back to the brands. Like you have to be respect, and it's like still like if Tiffany did like a let's go and like a and then like one extra thing, it's like okay, we're good. Tiff, you're the GOAT. We move. Congratulations. But like. He just does it for like a double-digit seconds, and you're like, damn, this is a segment.
Yeah, I just have to wonder, like, what's up with this? Like, is it just guttural? Can he help it? Or is this just like what he does? Like, because I'm sure he did this during the tribe immunity challenges, if I went back
No,
to
I don't.
watch.
I don't think he. I don't think he did it to this extent. I think really what it is he's really processing. At least in this moment, he's thinking, okay, if Tiffany wins this, she wins the game. My
Yeah.
only chance to win this game is if I win this. And also in his head, he thinks I can win this game if I win this, and then maybe even the next. But he's like, I don't get voted out next. Probably.
Yeah.
And he's like, I probably win fire too. So he's like, if I win this, I make FTC.
Yeah.
Tiffany goes home. I win the game probably. Because he also doesn't think that Aubrey's going to beat him in a challenge.
Sure.
So this is like, at least probably in his head, processing as the win.
But also, I mean, that's hubris if there ever was one, you know.
Absolutely.
If I could make a top 10 list of the most hubris moments in Survivor history, that would be like it would be like number 7, but still it would make the list. So there you go. But you know, speaking of hubris, the hubris to flip a Mr. Beast coin. Because we go back out to the live show, and now we are talking to Rick Devens and Dr. Christian Hubicki. Christian is really only here just for the hell of it, I guess. We're really here to talk to Rick Devens about like, whoa, you flipped the Mr. Beast coin.
Well,
here's the Mr. Beast coin. You know,
they're boys.
They're boys.
They're Kirk and Spock. We went over this.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they're pals, but I mean, the thing is, Jeff Probst does a lot of things during this live finale, some of which are very not good. But he also just likes giving out a lot of gifts. He's here to give out presents to people. He's here to give a Spirit of Survivor award. He's here to give a Mr. Beast coin. And it's, you know, it's something interesting to me because, you know, in terms of the format of this live finale, we go from the last like true one, I guess, being Edge of Extinction, because like Island of the Idols is pre-recorded. Then we had COVID for Winners at War. And we go from, you know, basically just doing the half and half to we're just doing a bunch of interviews in the middle. And I really think it is indicative of who Jeff Probst likes. Like this is how you know who's gonna come back and who's not gonna come back. Like, you know, they're not interviewing, gosh, I don't even know. They're not interviewing the less interesting castaways. Let's say that.
I will also say they're interviewing the people who think Jeff is like the people Jeff is kind of either sending off or like trying to really establish with this season. Like, but also in a way of like, these are the people who really matter this season. And like, while I think like a Genevieve could come back or like a Q could come back.
Sure.
They didn't get segments here because at the end of the day, they ended up ultimately being footnotes in this season. And while some were more important footnotes than others, it's like with Christian and Rick, they partially defined the season. With Sari, she partially defined the season. With spoiler, Ozzy, he partially defined the season. And also Stephanie was there because Stephanie is an OG. She gets grandfathered into that. But like Coach wasn't there, but we know Jeff loves Coach. But like Tiffany, it's really crazy because they edited her like dog shit this season. And then they bring her to the finale and they're like, we're crowning you and we're giving you the mandate of heaven.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It's like, you know what? I mean, it's a raw deal, but there's a positive on the end of it. Maybe like this is basically saying this is them saying this is your Sam Wondos or Wentworth moment or whatever. Like kind of combining the two Wentworth seasons of saying like, look, you got like nothing here, but like if we bring you back, you're gonna be a star. And it's like, what? Why not make her a star now? We already had her basically be a star now. Why was she not?
Yeah,
what
I don't
are we
get
doing
it.
if you're gonna crown her like this?
I don't get it. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, we'll get to, I guess we can talk about this now. Is like, you know, Tiffany is gonna go home, and you know that's gonna be something. But in general, in terms of the idea of bringing her back, like, she has, in all honesty, not been even a top 5 central character on either of her seasons. Like, and it's honestly not that close because, like, I mean, 50 kind of goes
No.
without saying if you ask me, but like 46, like, you have Q, you have Charlie, you have Maria, you have Kenzie. Those are four
You
just
have
off the top.
Venus.
Venus, yeah. Hunter, I mean, well, it was kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But either way,
I
that's five
yeah.
people. Either way.
Yeah.
Liz, 6.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, there you go. And then 50, it's like at least through the first like entire half of the game before the merge or whatever, she was like dead last and
Yeah.
not close. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy
Mm-hmm.
times. Speaking of crazy times, Mike White's on the screen. Um
This is so funny.
yeah. Mike White's on the screen. We're talking to Mike White, and I look, one of the things one of the big talking points this entire season, at least the first few episodes before Mike White got kicked off, was like, oh man, people are gonna so schmooze up Mike White because they just want a spot on the White Lotus.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, like, you know, I don't know if he said this, but I swear I heard a rumor where he was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not casting anybody from this season on the White Lotus. Like, I'm just here to play some blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
Well, that was a lie.
I mean, I think that that's a very reasonable thing to say, to just be like, hey, do
Sure.
not get your hopes up. It will not be happening. And then you go, yeah, actually, it's fucking happening, dumbass.
Yeah,
But of course, I'm not going to let people know that because I want people to genuinely play with me like an actual person. I want to play the hoops instead of like instead of like just having people bow over to me and say like, I want to do everything for you. Because like imagine he comes back and he does do great. He wins. But the caveat to that is everyone comes in saying, I just want to be on the White Lotus. So now all of a sudden he's playing a Boston Rob type game.
yeah,
Maybe not in the exact same way, but he's like all the cards are in his hands. That's not going to be fun for him. He's not going to feel
sure.
like he's earned that. And like even from the perspective of like I want to be treated like a human being, it's like, yeah, I want to also win like a human being. I want to win like a Survivor player. For him to come in and say that, it's like basically just, even if he didn't say that, it's a very reasonable thing for him to say, please be normal.
Yeah,
Let's have some fun out here. And then say after, you know what? I did fuck with some of y'all. We're gonna pick you. Come out to France.
yeah.
Especially Charlie, who I will say looked like a congressman. Like that was the one big takeaway. A couple big takeaways there. Number one, Tiffany, gorgeous as hell.
Mhm.
Excellent
Sure.
look. Excellent look.
Yeah.
And then Charlie looked he looks like a politician. It was really funny. He was like very, very shaped up well. Like it wasn't red carpet, but it was like very, very stately.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can
Um,
tell me he was just like he had a district in Maine, and I'd be like, yeah, man.
um, yeah, well, I don't know. Mike White.
Yeah, yeah,
um, what I will say about this is Mike White on the screen. It reminds me in a way why I like these live finales because you don't know what you love till it's gone, which is this is part of the importance of stunt casting is you do just weird things during the reunions. Like Jimmy
yeah.
Johnson's on Survivor Nicaragua, you start talking to a bunch of former Dallas Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like,
Live reunions are weird. They
yeah,
really are. These are
yeah,
these are weird. These are weird events. Um, and like as much as I know people were lamenting the loss of Lenny, sort of like hash out the beef content. I skip through that anyways. This is the only way I'm gonna watch any bullshit like that. Like,
I get why they changed the finale because I think it makes sense that it's like, okay, yeah, viewership and ratings, which is what makes the measure of whether a show should stay on air, it goes down once the winner's announced. Like I
yeah,
talked to so many more casual fans who said, "Yeah, I just turned it off," and like even though there was only 2 minutes after Aubrey won, and you were one of them, and you're not even a casual fan, you're
yeah,
a crazy fan. So
yeah.
there you go. But even like casual fans too were like, "All right, well, I'm going to bed," you know?
Yeah, it's like I fucking whatever. I'll find out about the fucking 51 announcement, 51 trailer later. I'll watch that later.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go
And
play Overwatch.
and this way, like you get an entire audience of millions upon millions of people to sit through an additional hour of television. Like even with a Rizzo flub, which we'll
Mhm.
get to, like and you do that by having Mike White say, "Yeah, I'm gonna have Charlie on my television show," you know,
Yeah.
Charlie and Camilla. So there's that. Mike White's on the screen. I just gotta say, like, it's been a while since Mike White was on Survivor, at least compared to most of these people on this season. Um, Charlie and Camilla feels very random.
No,
No,
because they were people he connected with while on or on Colo.
I'd probably. Oh yeah. I guess they were on the tribe. Yeah, I guess I knew
I think,
Charlie was.
yeah,
I forgot Camilla
I
was.
think I
Yeah.
think Mike White and Charlie were actually probably kind of close there, and he probably just likes him. Like those are people who were on his starting tribe. Um,
Okay.
so that I mean, it makes sense. Like the other people on the starting tribe were D, Chrissy, Coach, Tiffany,
Yeah.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then
Sure.
and none of them were on his swap tribe to vote him out.
Hmm.
So
Okay. I guess that makes more sense. I mean, I just think. Well, my hopes and prayers are that, Charlie maybe has like a background cameo. I don't need him to have a line. He can just stand there. And then Camilla wins like 6 Emmys. Like that's my hope for what happens. Um but anyway, so back to the Survivor for a minute, which is kind of something we already talked about, but I do want to get into this because this is a little bit of a rumor mill swirling about. So at Tribal Council, Tiffany is about to go home,
hmm,
and Tiffany just starts kind of, saying, "Hey, like it is not fair that you are targeting me for, having won the same amount of immunity challenges as Joe." And there are rumors circulating that something we didn't get seen in the show is Jonathan saying, "Well, it's because you're a woman," something to that effect. Which, like, quite honestly, I
mhm.
I get why they didn't show that. Like, I think there are enough reasons we get shown on air for why Jonathan doesn't win, and there's also enough context clues to make you figure out, hey, he's misogynistic. Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean,
So
a whole
yeah.
subplot of this season is Jonathan rage baits the women he's going to vote out and are already basically on their way out of the game.
Yeah, his big move of the game, literally his big move of the game, his most impressive move of the game, according to the jury, is him making D get into an argument with him.
Yeah.
Like, like, yeah, like, come on.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, obviously, like Tiffany's frustrations are valid, and I think that she's right. She's right to call it out. I just think this is part of what basically everybody of the what would be the final four's problem is when you just kind of don't say what it is, which is like, hey, you're the biggest threat, like
Hmm.
because I do think Jonathan, nothing else, definitely Jonathan was
Yeah.
pretending like Joe was the same amount of threat as Tiffany, and it was just a not personal thing. But Survivor is personal. That's how it
Yeah. I
goes.
think also one of the things is that the unspoken part, the opposite I'm not going to say is Tiff, you've been playing the game.
Yes,
Joe hasn't
yes,
been playing the game. Like, even though you have the same amount of immunities, like you are an immunity threat. Also, you are a competent social player. You are a competent strategic player. You had a period where you were on the bottom, worked your way up, made important connections, made important moves, had a tight bomb with Suri.
hmm,
She's going to like levy the troops for you on jury.
yeah,
Joe doesn't have any of that. I mean, he said it himself later. It felt like a sentencing. He was cooked. In his words, they could have sent him home and said, "Hey, have a beer. I'll come back in 2 hours and you guys decide the winner." Like,
yeah,
that could have happened if Tiffany's there. There are these compounding reasons where, like, obviously it's like, okay, why are you afraid? And it's like you could have found a bajillion different reasons to be like, this is why she like. I think everyone at home also like would have known if you put her and Joe next to each other and say they have 3 wins each. You have only one of them you can take out before FTC. Who do you take out? You probably instinctively go, I'm taking out Tiff because I know she's a better player.
yeah.
Joe's not going to have a strategic game to back that up. And not to defend him here, because I think he probably said his actual reasons. I think one person said their actual reasons. There's a lot of different reasons for other people to make this decision that wouldn't be in that vein. Jonathan didn't take that route.
No, no. I think one of Jonathan's major problems throughout the game, and I will happily get into this more once, we see the vote and what happened. But Jonathan's basically just Russell Hantz. Like in one way. In one way.
Yeah.
He's not finding idols, he's not doing any of that stuff,
No.
but he fundamentally misunderstands what it takes to win Survivor. And
Hmm.
he understands, I think, like Russell did, he understands like, hey, if you have friends on the
Yeah.
jury, you're gonna win. So like Russell took out all the people from Galoo, I think it was, and Russell took out all the heroes on the heroes tribe, and Jonathan took out Tiffany when
Yeah.
she had plenty of friends on the jury, and all these
Yeah.
other people as well.
He did learn to finish his food, which is a good thing, a trait you need to learn.
But I mean, like at the end of the day, finishing your food doesn't mean that all of a sudden, you're. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of an analogy. I can't.
No, you.
Oh, it doesn't
It's
mean you're
it's
gonna.
it's not about finishing the food. It's about picking the right food, which means not uncooked rice, right? It's
Yes.
it's the meal selection. It doesn't, like, obviously it matters. You need to finish it all. You need to clean it off. But at the end of the day, you need to have other things to support there. And you have to make sure you cook the rice. You have to have the support there. You have to have the social getting to back things up. You have to have other reasons there. Um, and like again, he has that of hands and he understands the strategy. I mean, it very much shows that he got coached by Boston Rob in between seasons, like before coming out. He got the coaching there because he learned some of this stuff. But like in the same way as Boston Rob lost All Stars.
Yeah. Honestly, if you want me to say it, Jonathan this season is a perfect mix between like maybe heroes versus villains Russell and all stars Rob. Like it's a perfect mix
Yeah.
because I just mentioned all the Russell comparisons, but in terms of the Rob comparisons, it's like, essentially he controls the game. I wouldn't say controls the game, but he
He
definitely
has a large
strong arm.
strategic
He
impact. Yeah.
he strong arms the game for basically the merge on and wins final immunity, prone to a pop off, and then loses to someone who he did not feel did much in the game, which is also similar. Well, no, that's definitely more Russell. But I should say loses to someone who was better at not making the jury bitter at her specifically.
Hmm.
Even though a lot of the same faults you could say a lot of the same things about Aubrey. I mean, a lot of people even at Final Tribal Counts were like, you were loyal to nobody. Like I mean, that's something that would traditionally be viewed in a snake-like fashion and might not earn you
Yeah.
votes at the end. But at the end of the day, lesser evil compared to the guy who's doing the work. So, whatever.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it matters about it's narrative warfare, and part of that warfare is what narratives the jury wants to spin and wants to have.
Hmm.
And Aubrey partially won that narrative warfare by having Suri there, being able to spin the narratives and say, you know what? You flipped and flopped back and forth, and we respect that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
didn't have you played the middle, you played the game they were afraid of, instead of saying, you pissed us all off.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a good point. Yeah. And I mean, part of that is also like, Jonathan Jonathan wants a lot of credit for moves, right? That's kind of his whole
Mhm.
thing. And one of those moves is getting rid of Tiffany. But
Mhm.
the thing is, you can't assume that people are going to respect you taking them out, especially when whether you do or don't, it is implied that you have said, "Yeah, I'm voting you out because you're a woman." Like that, like
Mhm.
Tiffany's not going to respect that, and that's going to get around to everybody else.
Yeah.
It creates an interesting kind of like thing once we get to final tribal council, but we're not there yet. So instead, Tiffany gets voted out, and then we bring her on stage afterwards, and we're like, "Hey, come back a million times."
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't get it. We already talked about it, but I don't get it. Um, of all people, like I mean, I like I don't know. It's just like
Goodbye,
it
Gary, by the way.
if they brought Rizzo on and we're like, I mean, they did bring Rizzo on, but they did the thing with Rizzo and they were like, Rizzo, would you come back again? 10 million times, yes, Jeff. I'd do it a
Yeah.
million times. That would make sense to me. But they didn't have Tiffany in the show. She wasn't in the
Yeah.
show. So
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. I don't get it.
It's so weird because it's like, yeah, we want to show a lot of appreciation for Tiffany. And it's like, you had a lot of weeks to also do that.
Yeah.
And to have her be built up as like a season defining character here. But unfortunately, she just took the sideline for so long.
Hmm.
And then at the last minute, you're like, hey, look at this. And it's like you could have people like having her in uncomfortable conversations of like what kind of player she is um, if you just showed her more.
Yeah.
You know, this almost win, not even loss, almost win would be in certain conversations if you just showed it properly,
For sure.
or showed it in a different manner. But that didn't happen, and so now we're left with this like, damn, it would have been awesome if we saw her like completely through the game. It would have been awesome to see her as an actual person out there, rather than not seeing her until the finale.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's just what any Survivor contestant wants, like, or not any Survivor. Well, certainly any Survivor contestant, but any Survivor fan wants
Yeah,
is what I was gonna say, which is like, just show me the people, show me
yeah,
the people. Like,
yeah.
obviously, some people are gonna be more interesting than others, and I heard a rumor. I once again, I don't know how true this is, that a reason why Tiffany and Dee weren't as in the early episodes is because they just kept cussing, which I think is really funny if that's true, but I don't think
Yeah,
that's true.
that
So,
would be really funny.
you know. Um, but anyways, Tiffany gets voted out, and all of a sudden we're at our final four. But before we get into the final four festivities, let's give Ozzy a shirt. Um, so
Wait, oh my God. Wait, I would say I wasn't tuned in for this. This is really funny.
yeah, so Jeff gives Ozzy a shirt.
Wow.
Brings Stephanie and Ozzy on stage, and after giving Sari a Spirit of Survivor award and Rick Devens a Mr. Beast coin, gives Ozzy a shirt that says you should have played an idol, you idiot. Um,
Yeah.
which is, it's a little bit of a different vibe. It's a little bit of a
Uh,
different vibe. Ozzy takes it in stride, and Stephanie gets nothing, by the way, just mentioning that. Um,
yeah.
and
Good.
yeah, you know what? It's a good shirt. I'll say it's a good shirt.
It's
If I was Ozzy, I would
it's
not wear
it's
it.
it's a good shirt. Yeah, if I'm Ozzy, I'd not wear it. But if I saw someone pull up to a live show with this, I'd be like, yeah, you the homie. Like
Yeah.
that's a fun one. You know, if you like if we were at RHAP Toronto and we saw someone wearing this, you'd be like, haha, nice shirt. You
Yeah.
know? Which is like as much as it's gonna be. But like if I'm Ozzy, I'm looking at that, like I've got it nailed to a crucifix in like my I've got nailed to a cross in my room. It's like partially singed because I like put it in the fire and then realized, wait, I can't unburn this. So maybe I shouldn't like burn it forever. So it's like
Okay.
kind of singed on the bottom, but it's like, yeah, maybe okay, like I guess I should keep it, but like I'm not a big fan.
That's that's
Like I'm not
beautiful.
wearing it. Yeah.
But yeah, so this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, where it's like, Sari gets a Spirit of Survivor award. Ozzy gets a shirt that says, "Hey, you're stupid." Like, it makes me think like that's. I mean, if that's the end of the story, that's a pretty sad final note for Ozzy to go out on, which is, you know,
Yeah.
parading him back out to say, "Look how stupid this guy was," and then throwing him out forever. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's also them kind of saying our favorite son is dumb.
Yeah, I
It's
guess
like
that's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like our sweet little boy. We love him so much. He's kind of a dumb motherfucker, but we still appreciate him.
yeah, yeah. No, that's all very true. Um, so anyways, look, we're going back to the Survivor, and we're at the Final Four challenge, and it's emotion. I believe, I mean, I don't remember. We talked about this. I voted for like the like pachinko challenge for the
Yeah,
final. Just because I thought that'd be a little more interesting, but I will say this was a very good submission.
I
So
I I like that one as well. I think actually at the end of the day, any like Samotion like really fills the vein of what the final immunity challenge should be.
yeah.
Because it takes it actually beyond being just like pure it's both pure force of will, but something more. Because like
Hmm.
as much as people like hands on a hard idol, if you have some boring people, it's like you're not gonna get the iconic moments you think you want. You can't always
Yeah.
guarantee that. But what you can at least get out of one of these challenges of like really a concentration challenge, which is its own type of endurance. It really is like how much you want to, how much can you lock in here? You're getting that, but then you're also getting something visually interesting at the
Yeah.
same time. And you're getting this moment where they can really, like, even the editors can cut loose, and like it's dexterity, it's concentration, it's all these things mixed into one. And Motion rules. I was actually talking to people behind them. They were like, I hate Motion. I'm like, genuinely, there's nothing to hate in my mind. It's like,
No.
this is one of like the challenges of all time. It's as Book Squirm is to Mario Party, this is to like Survivor.
Sure.
It's one of those challenges where I go, hands down, this is, I think, one of the best. You can do it every time, and it's like still fun, because at the end of the day, while it can be solved, it's so hard to do in that way that like it will always play out a little different. And it especially also is an opportunity for those people who like you might not think to win immunities to win them.
Yeah.
And like it levels the playing field. Like more than anything, this is like one of those challenges. What was it? Was it Rizzo and Aubrey the final two here? Or was it
It was Rizzo and Joe. Or sorry, Joe and Aubrey.
Joe and Aubrey. So, but Rizzo outlasted Jonathan. Rizzo outperformed someone in this challenge. Shout out. But like it is one of those things. Like if Sari got here, I would say, like Sari could win this. I don't think she's ever played. I don't think she's ever played this Emotion before. I think she could win that. And like for the people who want like, for lack of a term, like equitable challenges, sometimes it's like I think this is really one of those ones where it's like this is something that has a lot of skill expression and is also still in my mind equitable.
Yeah.
It's like the Survivor challenge. It's the paragon of them all.
I completely agree. It really is the bumper balls of Survivor for sure.
Don't be saying that. Don't be saying that. Don't be saying that.
But I do think like there's a little bit of everything here. Like especially I've seen complaints online about like so many immunity challenges this season have just been people standing. Whether you're standing with a ball or you're standing with a hand up, or I don't know.
That's been a complaint since season 41.
Exactly, and but I saw it this season as well, and it's like even Motion, where theoretically you're just standing, is so not that. It's so not that.
It's a dynamic standing. Yeah.
It's dynamic, but it's equitable. Romeo won it in Survivor 42. Like
Christine Shields Markowski won it in South Pacific.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Shout outs.
Like you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
So anyways, that is all to say. Aubrey wins this challenge. She goes over, she hugs Jeff. And look, I don't know how you felt, but I was like, all right, it's over.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I felt that way going into this episode too.
Yeah.
If not the episode before that.
But, I felt that way when she got her first confessional in episode 6, and I said, or not episode 6, but the final, whatever, the one before this.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, hey, it's the final 7. It's the second last episode of the season. It's the Aubrey breakout episode.
Yeah.
What a moment to have your winner have their breakout episode at the second last episode. But
Aubrey wins. She breaks down in tears. She hugs Jeff, and she wins. Aubrey wins, and well, she hasn't won the season yet, but she won the challenge, if nothing else. And so she gets a choice who to put in fire making. And so she decides basically immediately that, hey, okay, the people I'm putting into fire making, I am putting in Jonathan, and I am putting in Rizzo. 2 people who lost fire making in their first seasons, which I think is fun. And one of them is much more prepared than the other. Rizzo, Rizgod, as he's better known, not very prepared. Joe having to give him tips to even start a fire in the first place, which, Yeah.
I will say, giving Rizzo his grace, he had like a week to prep. That is one of those things where people are like, why didn't he prepare? It's like, like you can't be doing that. And then also he was like, I think also part of him is like managing like how people see him out here. And like being like, oh, you shouldn't fear me at all. it's like, okay, like having that, like, okay, I'm not going to do the hard labor. If he's not doing the hard labor, but he is like just practicing fire, that's gonna look worse than if he doesn't practice fire at all. Like imagine the optics of that. It's like I'm not gonna work hard at camp, but I'm gonna go steal some stuff out into the woods and go work on fire, or like I'm only gonna prep the fire. You're gonna look like an asshole. These people are gonna hate you even more. It's worse to be lazy.
I
It's
didn't
worse
agree
just
with
no.
that.
I think it's one thing to be lazy. It's another thing to be lazy and really selective and gamey about it because they respect you even less. Like if you're a hard worker and you're like if he like lifts some bamboo and this is you know what can I try making the fire? There's an angle. There's an angle. But if he's like I don't know, I don't want to help, and then they're like oh fire, and he's like oh, can I try fire? They're like fuck it, this fucking guy, this guy. That's how they're gonna. That's how.
I think you're just making up stuff, to be honest. From my perspective, it's like even if I think about Jonathan. Jonathan is
Mhm.
basically what you're talking about. And sure, Jonathan did not win, but I'm sure nobody on episode 1 was like, "Oh, this guy's starting fire. Oh, this guy." You know what I
No,
mean? Or even
it's
going through the effort to do it at all, you
it's
know?
not that they're going. This guy's starting fire. They're going. This guy doesn't do shit but start fire. That's going to be the narratives. And obviously, maybe he's not pushing for the votes from those older players. But if he's trying to kind of play to them a little bit, it's better to just be lazy than to be lazy and do nothing, or than to be lazy and selective.
Rizzo's whole narrative this season has been that he's lazy. Do you think if he was
Yes.
starting fires on episode 3 or 4, Colby would still be like, God, this kid's lazy, or Q would still be like, this kid's lazy? I don't think so. I think if nothing else, it wouldn't be as bad. And honestly, there's a decent chance Rizzo doesn't make it as far as he does this
Yeah.
season because the laziness helps because people don't view him as a
Yeah.
threat because they don't want to
Oh,
vote for him.
I think I agree with that. And but I will say there's one thing if you're sitting there on a couch the whole day, you don't do shit. People look at you one way and say you're lazy. If you sit there on your phone, they're like, he always on his damn phone. They'd be like, Rizzo only does fire. He only does the fire. Everything else he's lazy. He's always on his damn fire. He's always on that damn fire. But he's not doing anything else. That's how they'd see it. He'd always be on his damn phone to them.
I guess the moral of the story here is that like don't be lazy on Survivor. Like
True.
I
True.
guess that's the answer because I'm just trying to think in my mind like who was the last lazy contestant to win Survivor?
Yeah.
I don't think it happens.
Well,
Like
I also partially think
Savannah
laziness.
maybe? I guess
Well,
probably Savannah.
I actually think more than anything, laziness doesn't matter to the average other player. With the average new era player, laziness and like camp strength is less of a qualifier because most of the people out there go, we gotta have a camp, but we also gotta play ball. And there's
Yeah.
like that balance there of like after especially after you get to the merge, laziness doesn't matter. Laziness doesn't matter because everyone understands in an individual game they have less resources, less all that stuff. But a lot of the old school players, which are the ones complaining with the laziness here, they're still in that 39-day mindset where they're like, if I don't have this bamboo, I'm gonna beat someone upside the head with whatever I can find.
Sure.
Whereas like the new era players are like, we got 13 days here, you know, like at least even this like something in the vein of oh, who was it? Chanel Howell said like losing our fire in 42 wasn't that bad because like it's like we don't have rice to cook anyways, you know.
Mhm.
Like it's one of those things of like that level of survival maybe may not be as bad. Missing that may not be as bad to the new era players. So like the game's
Yeah.
faster. It still matters, but it's less important and it's a less essential part of these people's games. Whereas like they're still in like, if I'm the last person on my tribe because I work hard and I built fire against Bobby John, I deserve to win.
Yeah. I mean I think that those are valid points. I just I also
Mhm.
think even that's a little different than even Rizzo specifically in this
Yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah.
So it's hard to say. I honestly I think the laziness is a factor for Rizzo, but I think
Oh,
most of it is
100%.
just what I've talked about with so many people on this podcast, which is Rizzo's just young and kind of a brat.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't gonna win. But you know what we can do? We can put him on television and we can have one of the most awesome moments of all time. So yeah, Jeff spoils that Rizzo loses. And he truly doesn't know. He truly doesn't know.
He takes it on the chin. He takes it
He
like a
does.
champ.
He does.
To be fair, most people that we know at least kind of can see it coming. We
Sure.
go, okay, he got the segment, but like in that last talk on fire, in like before the thing happens, we're like, yeah, he's kind of cooked, isn't he? Like,
I think if there's basically any moment in Survivor history to have Jeff flub up and accidentally reveal someone goes home, this is the moment to do it.
yeah,
Like the only bad thing about it is that it happened during season 50 and it happened during the first live show in however long. Like,
yeah.
it's bad. But I think in general, it's like, yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, this is the moment. It's the first live show in however long, and it's like a low consequences moment. We can kind of all see a bajillion years in ahead of like Denver's is going to lose.
Yeah. And I think in general, it kind of comes down to the idea of like, hey, if I'm in the spot where I have to fight against Jonathan, like, yeah, I'm probably thinking I'm losing. Like, I bet that was part of Rizzo's mindset is like he was crying and stuff because he's facing the guy who's been making fire every single day. But even even going back to the Jeff of it all, it's like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Even the audience, like you can tell by the way the audience is reacting, like when Jeff's like, maybe you should practice fire more, like they're nervous laughter, but they're like, yeah, maybe he's just saying that.
Yeah, maybe he's
because,
just riffing because like we can tell Rizzo's scared going in.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was a tough fight, but it could have been easier.
For sure.
But
yeah.
I was actually more surprised than anything. This was not Jonathan beating Heidi's record of fastest fire rate.
Oh yeah? Yeah.
I was a little surprised because you see him do it in like one strike and you're like, damn, this guy's got it in a way they haven't shown anyone has got it before this, where it's like, you know what, that's another thing that's like part of the Jonathan package of like the full package. Of like, he can do fucking everything. He's this guy. He may fire so fast. He wins challenges. He's so strategic. The one thing he can't do is get regular people to like him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that's indicative of the show. It's like this is what I'm saying about the final five. Is like everybody has their problems. Like Tiffany's biggest problem is not being on the show. But like beyond that, the final four that we have each have their problems that I think in a normal Survivor season, well, in a normal like environment would mean that they lose at the end. Like even Aubrey with her meta, like, I've lost my life to this game. She didn't say that, but I've spent my life playing this game, 135 days or whatever, even that I think doesn't really matter unless you're really going up against loser one and loser two, So I don't know. It's interesting, but that's all to say. Jeff loving this, not a big deal, not a huge deal. Even though it was very funny and very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say, like, people obviously complain. I mean, do we want to actually? We'll save it for later. I'll save it for later.
Yeah. I mean, anyways, Jonathan wins, and I want to mention another crazy pop-off. Look at Jonathan's face here.
Yes, he is elated.
This is the moment of impact, and he contorts his face like he looks like an imp. Like it's crazy. He looks like an agent of the devil in this particular image, which is very rude, and I understand that, but I also do not.
Beelzebub.
I also do not think Jonathan Young's going to watch this podcast, so I think we're good. But he pops off, and once again, is like screaming about it. He's like, yes. It really makes me think that he believes everybody on the jury's rooting for him.
Yes.
Like true delusion. in my personal opinion. Because like I don't know. Like I guess he really thought like no one cares about Aubrey. I'm the underdog on account of my giant
Yeah.
muscles and giant frame, and of course the Joe's a non factor, which is true. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's just crazy.
I will say I think there's a reasonable point for him, like if he's in this idea of like where was I going with this? It wasn't a value.
Yeah, yeah. I will just say to finish out my point. I think it's like Jonathan would not win most seasons of Survivor. He
Yeah.
might win an old school season, but any season past like I don't know, like Micronesia, he's not winning. Like
hmm
like if Russell Hantz doesn't win Samoa, if Russell Hantz doesn't win Heroes versus Villains, Jonathan played a way worse game than he did.
Yeah.
Like just in terms of moving the chess pieces or whatever. Yeah.
I found again. I think part of it was also him in his mind going, I didn't get targeted really heavily this whole game because I played well. He correlated playing well with not getting targeted.
Yeah.
And not getting targeted is like things, but like didn't get targeted because nobody likes him. But he thought that was because of his playing well, and didn't know that those could be out of sync.
Yeah.
His reasonings for this thing that could be attributed both, right? Playing really well can mean that you never get targeted. Being a GOAT can also mean you never get targeted, and you can do both.
Yeah.
And he did both. And so I think there's, again, this part of his mind where that's another factor coming in of him saying, damn, I'm going to win this shit because I haven't really even been targeted.
I mean, I want to be clear. Like when I was watching the episode, and honestly, for the past few episodes, I've been like, I do not personally enjoy Jonathan's antics all the time, but I think in terms of who's playing the best game of Survivor, I think it's him. But at the
Yeah.
same time, playing the best game of Survivor in terms of chess pieces is not the same as being the best Survivor player. Like that, there is a difference.
There are two rules to win the game. One, don't go home.
True.
Two, do what the jury likes.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's nothing you can do to call him to.
I think it's fair. Like once again, I keep saying we'll get into this later, but I mean this is kind of the topic of conversation. Like Jonathan says at the end, like he could have. This is the best game that he could have possibly played, and to some extent, I agree with that because I think look, and
it's the best game he could have played.
Yes.
Being the Jonathan he is as a person, he did the best he could.
Yeah, I think about one of the best Jeff things that he did in the new era was in Survivor 46 at the start of the game when he was like, one of you has already lost the game just purely based on being who you are. And I think this season, this final four is a collection of those people. These are the people who were not designed to win this season. Rizzo was designed to be the first boot, basically.
Yeah.
Aubrey was designed, I mean, she was an alternate. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say that she was probably going to do the best of any of those four, but like Joe is never going to win because he's not going to change who he was. And then Jonathan wasn't going to win because he's just kind of an asshole. Like, that's how it goes. And, it's interesting, this environment of the final four and the final three, as we're about to get to, of what that means for a final tribal council and what that means for a jury of people who are very serious about who wins. And we'll get to it, and we'll get to kind of our thoughts on the season as a whole from that. But this is all to say that, in my opinion, this season coming down to this makes it interesting, but less of a satisfying result.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
But something Jonathan can be satisfied is seeing his brother, who's like a reverse Mario. And that's what happens, the family.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've gotten a loved one visit since Winners at War, and it was kind of very.
This is a really weird time to have it in the season.
Yeah.
Have we ever had it of the final? Well, not the final four, but like, at this point, was it because they weren't involved in the challenge? I think Kagian actually had it at this point, right? Kagian had it at final four.
That sounds right. I know Winners at War, like all the people visited their loved ones on Edge, but I think that was after the final, like go back into the game challenge.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't, because I think Nadia was there. So no, it was before the final challenge. So that would have been at like the equivalent of final 6 or maybe final 5.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I think still it was like one of those things of like a lot of people what do you call it? Like normally they don't do it at the last moment before the game is basically over. Like
yeah,
this point in the game is a very, very weird, like they'll do it at least 1 or 2 cycles before the game, or at least 2 cycles before the game is over, not
yeah,
the last one.
yeah. So it's weird. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is it's weird, but it's cool that we have a loved ones visit at all. Even though, to
Yeah.
be honest, despite it being a 3-hour finale, it felt very shoehorned in, to be honest.
No, very much so. It felt like it was like, we got this now?
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm happy to see it, but this here now was like basically my total opinion of it.
Yeah. And that's my total opinion. And so let's move on to more interesting
Well,
things.
also
Yeah.
shout out to Joe and his wife.
Shouts out to his tall ass wife, for sure. For sure. Just going back to the Survivor though, because that's what we're here for, and the more interesting discussions. We're at Final Tribal Council now. We're here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it, because we got a jury of like what, 11 people?
11 exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And they're all here, and immediately I just want to say I called the vote total. I was like, it's going to be 8-3-0. Aubrey's going to win, and Jonathan's going to get exactly Coach's, Stephanie, and Chrissy's votes, cut from the same cloth. I want to ask a question that I think is worth asking, which is, now that we have ditched the format of people going up individually and asking their questions, do you think that these Survivor juries are way more of a consensus, like when it comes to who they vote for, or do you think it doesn't matter and this is just a case where the winner was obvious anyway?
Yes and no. We've had a lot of situations in which the juries have been like this, right?
Yeah.
Where, especially in the new era, it does kind of take that way. But I think they've realized that, like, they still, even from the first season, are figuring out the best way to run the jury, because like it is a fluctuating format. They are changing it of like, okay, it's one person, and then it's like outwit, outplay, outlast, ask the questions within those framework, and then it's like, all right, now it's just free range. But now it's like back to like, okay, each person gets a question, but also we can have more dialogue here.
Yeah.
Like they're still figuring out the format, and I think it's fine and good. But like, we've had a lot of, like, 41 was it 41, 42, and 43 all had the exact same vote counts, right?
Yeah, that is true. It was 7-1-0, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it was 7-1-0, and even 44 actually too.
Yeah.
But then the thing is that then you have 45 come in, and then you have like the 5-3-0, and then from there kind of things are broken apart,
Yeah, 46, 47
5-3-0 again. Yeah.
48.
Yeah, you have. Wow, wait, I forgot that 47 was a 7-1-0 as well. It did not feel like that.
No, 47 wasn't. I thought you were saying that after 45, vote counts get a lot closer, and I think they have been since then.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm saying that 47 was a 7-1-0, but it did not feel
like
it.
It was?
It was. That's the thing. Like the thing is that the jury votes still feel different. There's a different vibe around them now. At least regarding that. And I think, like, obviously with it changing, that, like, because again, like, even 48 was a 5-2-1, it still is. You have this defined winner, but like the rules of engagement have shifted, and I think it's back to a spot where you can find that vibe of like, make sure everyone has their own individual voice, but they've been talking about it. And I think, like, at the end of the day, they have this, like, okay, we want to work as a jury. And I think that's a good thing to have happen, because, like, now, I mean, obviously it depends on what you want out of the game, because if you want the old school, it's like, I mean, realistically, if you really, really, really want that, you say, you go into your corner and you do not talk to someone now. And then you have just your question and ask it. But it's like, now you have these people really who get to say, what do we want this game to be? And I think that actually, while this is about I mean, obviously, FTC is more about the jurors than the players, at least in their mind. I think really this allows it to potentially be less of what does each individual juror think they can do to make the season about them, but rather them saying as a whole, what do we think it represents, which I think is a different story and one I'd like to hear more.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to another question I have, which is like, does it matter that Aubrey, this is her fourth time playing? Like,
Yeah.
that's part of the story that she tells in terms of like, what is the story of your season? That I forget who asked that. I think it was Christian who asked that.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, is that something that is the difference between her winning or not? Because I don't think it is, but also it might be a true factor. I really don't know what to think. Like, is it just a cherry on top of her game, or like, I don't know.
I think the thing is, I'm going to say this and I'm going to step away for a moment. But
Okay.
like, I really do think, with this returning season, everything is about narrative warfare. Christian's been hammering that home since before the season even started. It is narrative warfare, and you need to consider that in this kind of season. What legacies does everyone bring with them? And that was something that Aubrey always had tucked up her sleeve that most other people didn't. And that's why, like, the title, Reverse the Curse, mattered so much, even if it wasn't just, Rizzo didn't reverse his curse. It was about who in that episode, who in this finale was going to reverse the curse out of that final four. Because, like, Tiff didn't really have one to reverse.
No.
But, like, Joe had that FTC loss. Jonathan lost in fire. Rizzo lost in fire. Jonathan and Rizzo both got a chance to redeem that. Jonathan broke one curse, but set a new one for himself. Aubrey broke the curse of losing FTC and having that. Joe didn't break it. Rizzo didn't break his. You have all these narratives of like, how do these people change and redefine themselves after having that tragedy of losing in that way at the very, very end the last time? How do they fix it here? How do they reverse that curse? And that's why that title was really chosen, even though I saw some people when I was talking to him about it, when he said the episode, does Rizzo win fire? I'm like, I don't think he's the only person this is about. And that's why it's a really poignant line for them to pick out and say, this is the episode title, because he said something that doesn't just matter for him. It mattered for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's indicative of where we're at right now. And I totally agree with that. I think the interesting thing sort of about the whole environment in that regard is like, there is sort of this meta nature, but everybody has their own meta natures of what they think the meta nature should be. So like I have two screen grabs of legends of the game. I have Coach here explaining at the very start, like, hey, this is all about like, tell me what you did, what qualities you possess that make you a winner, which is basically him fishing for honor and integrity, obviously. But essentially he's saying, he believes that quality of you as a person should be indicative of who wins at the end, which may be a legitimate reason he votes for Jonathan beyond just being like pals with him or whatever. But I think it's interesting because that's definitely a much more old school mindset, but also is something that I feel like kind of you see throughout Survivor history. At most final tribal councils, there's at least one person who believes, the quality of you as a person and what you bring to the game and what you leave at the door should determine if you win or not.
It's again, it's each person saying, I mean, everyone has their own criteria, but basically the end is, why do you want me to win? And sometimes the answer is, well, I want you to win because I think you deserve it. Well, why do you deserve it? Gameplay, who you are as a person. Does your mom have cancer? Anything can be that, and it's like any sort of reason can be it, as long as the jury wants you to have, that juror wants you to have $1 million. That's the qualifier. Again, that's why when I say the two rules are, don't go like do what the jury likes. It's because that's all that matters. Does the jury want you to win? And so Coach is really just saying here, this is my criteria, and hopefully he phrased it in a vague enough way that it could be something to say like, oh, this quality me play the game this way, which is an admirable trait. That's one of
Yeah.
the questions open-ended enough that you can like. I'll give him a couple flowers here, saying that's an open-ended enough of a question where it can still be a softball for him and also for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree, but I also just think it's very interesting when you
Yeah.
juxtapose that against like Suri, who, joined the Survivor pantheon before Coach even debuted.
Yeah.
And she's talking about like, hey, it doesn't really matter. Like if you played the game ethically, like that's what the new era is about. It's about
Hmm.
flip flopping and doing whatever. And that way,
Yeah.
Aubrey played the game the best way. I
Yeah.
think it's very interesting in that regard.
I actually really think the thing here isn't it is like it's a different in ethics. So Sarista wants that ethics. It's saying, well, how does adaptability and
Yeah.
devilishness, those are the qualities she wants to use. She also is a qualities-based person, but she wants qualities, and then as with coach wants like evidence to back that up, she wants qualities of a different nature. They're both qualities-based questions here. It's just very different qualities that like define the games that they play.
Yeah. And I think that's so total. I think both are honestly completely valid ways to look at it.
100%.
I just think it is true that in a new school era game, like it's true that adaptability matters. And
Hmm.
Suri literally calls out Stephanie, just another Suri W and another Stephanie L, when she's like, hey, yeah, like, that old way of just like sticking with your alliance, that's dead now. You shouldn't win the game for that alone, which
Yeah.
Stephanie disagrees with. But
Hmm.
I will say, like, I don't know if
Yeah.
this is this. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I
Sorry.
was gonna say it's a really fun narrative to have like Suri basically again, who's been so defining and not only be the blueprint of what the new era is and what Survivor is now, but also be that and say, I understand. I could cling on to the ways of the past, but she's been. It's so weird because like everyone can cling on to the ways of the past and say this is the way I played and that's the best way. But
Hmm.
Suri has been so far ahead and like defining of what the blueprint is of like what it should be
Yeah.
that she's been there at point B and says and already is in the future saying, coming back to the past and saying, I was there in the future in the past. That is what this game should be. It's saying like again, it's like saying like, the good old days are the good old days were the day she was playing to be in now, you know.
Okay.
Like she's
Sure.
playing now again where Stephanie's like, okay, I should be playing this, like it was the way I played back then is the way anyone deserves to win. That's what a lot of the old schools were saying. The old
Yeah.
schools were saying, you should win this way, but it wasn't any sort of updated way. It was like trying to drag the game back, really saying like, pull the game in a conservative nature. And like
Hmm.
drag it that way and say like, okay, it should be, we should return to the
Yeah.
way it once was, or to the way it once was. Whereas Saria is saying the way it was for me is the way it still is now.
Yeah.
That's that she's
The
like, that
essence of
is the
Survivor is the same.
yes.
Yeah.
And so she's saying the essence of it is the same. And the way that I used to play then is the way it still is now. And she's able to not change any part of herself and to be able to be a pure champion of exactly what this game can and it can be and is now, while not changing a modicum of herself.
Yeah. I think this is once again just going back once again to like, hey, this is why Cerie's great television and why they
Yeah,
bring her back a million times, because nobody else can be authentically themselves, articulate, and be able to campaign, like truly campaign for someone as well as Cerie does. Like,
yeah,
I think Cerie is able. I'll just say this: Aubrey got had the fortune of having both Cerie on her side, but also
mhm,
Tiffany on her side, who was basically like the person pushing for Kenzie in Survivor 46, and also the first member of the jury, D, on her side. So I mean, like
yeah,
she had a whole lot of help, I can imagine, at Ponderosa, though we'll never see it for sure.
yeah,
But regardless, that is all to say that this is it was a fun final tribal council, even if I understand why people are a little like, why is it so dictated by the jury? But that's how it always is. It's just a matter of how much you see it.
I mean, ever since one of the most important moments in the show's history is Sue doing her snakes and rats speech.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot say that is not one of the defining moments of the show's history, and then come to now and say, well, why is the FTC so much about the jury? It always has been. One of the most defining moments of the show's history, from the first season, from the first finale, is exactly that. It is about it being more about the jurors in that moment, because again, it's your last ego trip to have that control over that $1 million. The $1 million you thought you had has now been taken away from you, but you still have that last moment to direct it and have your greasy little paws over saying, this is how it should be exactly given.
And I also, in a similar vein, I saw people like complaining that like, oh man, there weren't very many questions for Joe. And it's like, if you want me to be so completely honest, Joe probably got more respect than he even deserved. Like, honestly, because like even I think it was Emily who said something along the lines of, yeah, Joe was on top of like almost every single vote. Like, or was on top. He voted correctly in every vote, I'm pretty sure. And everybody wanted to loop him in for some reason. And I think that's more credit than he gotten from any player openly throughout the entire season.
It is actually really cool because I've seen both sides of the argument of like the Emily and the Suri of it all, because really what Emily does here is she says she is a counterpoint to Suri, because Suri says a lot like, Joe, we had to do so much to manage you. You didn't play our game. I didn't like that. Yeah. Which is like Suri's big moment of like campaigning against him. But like, again, in Emily's defense, if Joe leaned into it more, he could have said, you know what? Like, obviously, this is not how you win the game of Survivor, but he could have said, you know what? I did not listen to you. I eventually did. Like, obviously, you could say, you know what? You held so much, but then eventually you broke because, like, you didn't hold true to it. But, like, him saying, you know what? You had to spend a lot of time managing me, and you saw me of enough value that you had to do that. That is obviously potentially a point in his favor. And there is that back and forth of like, you know what, Suri is a little whack in saying, like, it is kind of crazy that she's saying that, because like there is a positive spin on this, but that is another point to how effective she is at campaigning, because a lot of people didn't see that being like, and go, that's kind of crazy for her to say that, because she slid it under the radar so well of like, wait, yeah, it is kind of reasonable for him to want to play his own game.
Yeah. But that is all to say that, like, first of all, the Jotation thing to bring up at Final Tribal Council was crazy. Like, because like we didn't need to see that. Like, come on, Joe didn't. We all understood why Joe wasn't going to win. You didn't need to explain that to us. But beyond that, I think I think Joe honestly probably got more play, at least in the editing of Final Tribal Council, I should say, than most third place finishers in all these final threes, because this is the thing with final three. It's like most of the time it's just there's one person that's just kind of a non-starter. Like that's how it goes. Like we talked about the 7-1-0s. Like one was like there's not very often that everybody gets a vote. That happened in Survivor 48, but I mean like it doesn't happen much. And it makes me think like does Joe want to win Survivor? I don't think he does.
No, I think he'd like to win it. I just don't think he gets it. Like, again, it's the Hansian nature of it all. He just doesn't get it.
I think he gets it, but I think he's like, if they give me $1 million, they give me $1 million. Yeah. But, I'm here for more than that, which is not a very Hansian thing to say. It's maybe a Brandon Hansian thing to say.
Yeah, it's obviously very different. But yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say also, again, on the hands of it all, we discussed this. I think you said you've discussed this on the podcast. Rizzo is, in my mind, the true heir of Russell Hands here. Like, while Jonathan is partially, Rizzo just is the woke Russell Hands, and it's awesome. You have a guy who plays 2 seasons back to back, is a big personality, lots of idol focus, and isn't the best in all the challenges. Russell had his moments where he locked in. Rizzo kind of didn't, but that doesn't matter. and also wanted to work with women a lot. Rizzo for a more like
yeah,
woke reason than Jonathan
yeah,
or
yeah,
than Russell. Like
yeah,
it's very much like you have this like they're two sides of the same coin and they're like very similar, but like one is one, but the other is the other. Rizzo is the Glaceon to Russell's Jolteon.
sure.
I don't know. There's a line here. There's something there. But I'm into
But
it.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan and Rizzo are two very different sides of the Russell coin, but they're both there.
Yeah.
They're both there. The difference is, you know, Russell wants to work with women like Rizzo. Jonathan doesn't want to work with women. That's not quite the Hansian nature, but he's doing a lot
No.
of other things, as we previously discussed, that
Yeah.
are very Hansian indeed. So,
No.
you
But
know,
it is kind of really interesting that like Jonathan is kind of like that solution to Russell, like knowing like, okay, I don't really like the women that much, but also Jonathan at least is the one step above of knowing I don't like them, but I know I can't win against them because
yeah.
even if like he's the one who watches Russell's game and goes, Russell's right, but I can't do that because it
Mhm.
didn't work.
Yeah. And I think that comes to a head, I mean, at the final
Yeah.
tribal count, like the actual vote reading, which is live, by the way. We have our
Hmm.
final three here. And I want to point out one more thing that reminds me of Russell Hantz about Jonathan. This is heroes versus villains, but in heroes versus villains, Russell wore like a white fedora or something like that, and it sticks in my mind. This suit reminds me of it. Or at least it was something. I know it might have been a white suit jacket. It was
I'm looking it up right now. Worry not.
it was something, but it gave me
It's like a gray fedora. His fit is he's not. I mean,
not
he's
wearing that.
white, but yeah, he's not. He's not really in white, buddy.
But the fedora is like not black.
It's like it's gray.
Yeah,
It's a gray
yeah,
fedora.
yeah.
It's
Well,
a fancy fedora. It's a little fancier. It's not actually fancy, but it's like a little fancier.
regardless of the color, the
Yeah.
similarity is there's a guy who's about to lose and be really salty about it who thinks he has that shit on, and
Hmm.
Jonathan thinks he has that shit on crazy style. While really Joe is the one who's dripped out of his gourd right here. So
Hmm.
that's my thought on that. Anyways, let's yeah.
Jonathan's dripped out like what is it? Peter Stormare as the devil in that one movie. You ever seen the
What?
clips of that? Hold
What?
up.
I this I I don't know what to say.
Isn't he? Oh god, he's in Constantine. In Constantine, he's dripped out. Yeah. The devil wears like a white silk suit, and then
Okay.
like probably isn't wearing shoes in this moment, just like him.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. All right. I'll take your word for it. Anyways, so yeah, we're at Final Tribal Council. And you know what? A few votes later, 7 votes or 9 votes to
11.
be
Yeah.
exact, or whatever, 8 votes. 8 votes was the number I was looking for. 8 votes
Yeah.
later, Aubrey wins. Aubrey wins Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans, which is the name of the season. And she's congratulated and she goes down, she hugs her family. Aubrey wins the season.
Mhm.
Yay, Aubrey.
That'd
It's
be
what we
Aubrey.
expected.
Yeah.
And it's cool and it's awesome and it's great. It's a nightmare for me when the cast was announced because she was the last person I wanted to see on the season. But you know, there you go. So I think
Yeah.
before we talk about Jonathan, because we're gonna do that, I do want to give Aubrey flowers legitimately. I think that the fact that she could play a fourth time and even make it to the end at all is crazy. Like,
Mhm.
I truly thought that she was going to be one of the first boots purely from that alone. Like, you know,
Mhm.
sure, your Savannahs and your Rizzos have a target against them. But other than that, like, if you're not a winner, like somebody like Aubrey's the person that you'd want to take out.
She's a fourth timer, but she's not sweet, you know? Like
No,
there's some players who like reach that level, like they're good enough that they can breach beyond that, or they have some other factor. Like Aussie's still winning challenges for tribes, but like Aubrey isn't do Aubrey may win a couple puzzles, but like for your tribe, but like at the end of the day, she doesn't have that you just didn't think she had that X factor that
yeah.
could really, make if you're a legend, you get there. If you're an icon, I don't know.
Yeah. Um, that's a very fair point. And I think kind of I've been thinking a lot about Aubrey's win, just in terms of like, I
Mhm.
have a lot of thoughts on it. And I do want to say she played a good game. She did play a good game. I think that she played a worse game than a lot of other people on the season, though. And I think it's fair to
Mhm.
say that not every winner is the person who plays the best game of Survivor. Sometimes just surviving is enough to win. And
Mhm.
that's what it is on this season. And I think shouts out. I mean, she won on a thing of 24 players. 24 people were on this season. Like
Yep.
that's crazy. And she won. So shouts out to her. I
Yeah.
will say.
There's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of luck involved.
Yeah. I every year after every single Survivor season, I do a tier list of winners. I'm not going to share the tier list because there's a lot of spoilers in there, aka for every single season of Survivor. But I will just say this: I think Aubrey is a worse than average winner of Survivor on this season, which I think is interesting because I also think that means that she is the first player in Survivor history to play a worse game when she won than when she lost.
Yeah, this is
I
true.
I think she played a
I
better
yeah.
game in Cal Wrong and Game Changers, but won in 50. And I think part of that might be for the meta reasons, but I also think part of that is just like she just happened to maybe not get lucky, but the competition wasn't as fierce, shall we say.
I mean, I do think actually the competition was partially just as fierce. I do think it is like that lucky premier. Like if you get you get bailed out sometimes. She got bailed out a lot,
Yeah.
but like again, she was drowning on the first couple tribes. Like she was absolutely cooked. Her tribe never lost a challenge. She got gifted an idol. You know the way the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol worked. Um, were
She didn't even play it
very
correctly. She didn't play
no
it either, which ooh, I got to say this real quick.
yeah
Um goes back to what I've said. I had this thought: if you play an idol correctly on Survivor, you don't win. You do not win if you play an idol correctly. Incorrect idol plays are way more successful than successful idol plays, unless it's the very last time you can play it. But the only time a winner has successfully played an idol before they expired and won was Ben in Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers, and that's a guy who got lucky. So there you go.
was it? Did Jeremy not as well?
Well, he played it on someone else, so it's a little different.
Oh yeah. Playing on someone else is different.
Yeah. But that's all to say that I didn't even think about that, and that's a new person who played an idol incorrectly that won. So my awesome Survivor theory has only been proved right again.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, back to Aubrey. But no, I think like you have to. This is a season that more than a lot of other seasons is very much determined by the luck of the draw. And like that is how it goes sometimes, like, but I think I view this to spoil one Survivor season. I view this in a very similar way to Amber's win in All Stars. And I already kind of mentioned that when we were talking about like, Jonathan kind of reminded me of Robin All Stars. Not to say those two are going to get married, but crazier things have happened. But I think that Aubrey and Amber both got kind of seemingly screwed over by a swap and then miraculously saved. And then
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I wouldn't say coasted, but were able to lay low towards the end and then win against somebody who people were bitter at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very valid way to win the game. I just also think I have to be like, okay, well, if there wasn't a freaking blood moon, you would have gone home,
Yeah.
and that's how I feel about that. But Aubrey still deserved to win, in my opinion, and I still think it's a very cool narrative. Even if, as a Survivor player, I do not connect that deeply with Aubrey. I connected with her more deeply this season than I did in any other season I've seen her on. So I'll give my props to the Survivor editors for that. I'll give props to the world and everything in it. But those are kind of my thoughts on Aubrey the winner. Do you have anything more to add? Or
She got lucky because she played well with what she did. It's like
yeah,
one of those things of like, did she play perfect? No. Could she have played better? Yes. Does she win if she plays better? Maybe not. Actually.
yeah, maybe not.
Realistically, maybe not. Did she play better in a more average season where maybe she loses more challenges? Yeah, probably not. But like also
That's
one
the
of the
game.
things is that the game's luck dependent. Who production puts you on a tribe with matters. She got a good tribe to win challenges early, getting lucky on the swap, whatever. But like sometimes they will set things up to support certain things and whatever. And being wanted to win is another thing there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she like a win earned is a win earned. She's got $2 million. I will dream of the day to see like 10,000 in my bank account. We would, you know, it is like one of those things of just like, hey, how much can I really be mad?
Yeah.
How much can she really be mad? Shout outs,
Yeah.
good shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoy life.
Exactly. Enjoy life. Good stuff. I mean, it was as satisfying a conclusion as we could have gotten. Frankly, I think realistically that we could have gotten after, I don't know, after maybe Devins went home, like even maybe before that. Like I think this is the most satisfying because like if Sari won, that would have been great, but that's not realistic. Like
No,
so
yeah.
that's just how I feel. But I've talked about that plenty on this podcast, so I don't have to rehash that. But anyways, good for Aubrey. Bad for Jonathan because Jonathan lost. Here's a picture of him getting his back rubbed by Ozzy. It's pretty funny. We've already talked a decent amount about Jonathan, but I do just want to say one more thing at the very least, which is this is awesome. Like it's so awesome to have somebody just be so publicly salty off the rip.
Yeah.
Like this is the beauty of a live finale. Like as much as Jeff Probst would like to just like bury it and be like, okay, well, this is all about positivity. You can't hide what's in those eyes, and what's in those eyes are pain. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I think it's one thing to have someone be like, oh no, I have to handle like a reunion after this, and like try to just be like, suffer the shock. Like a lot of times in the immediate reunions after on the island, these people are just in shock still,
Yeah.
and they're just like, shit.
But Jonathan has had months to process the strong possibility he could lose.
Yeah.
Seeing the edit, seeing the show, seeing the episodes week after week after week, give these confessionals to the person who he's trying to beat at the end.
Yeah. And the thing is that for him, it's still not over, It's still not over. But at least when, like, for the new year, a lot of these people are like, well, my game's over. Now, the game's over. It's been over. I wasn't winning. I'll have to do the extra press for this after I've like processed it, but like in a moment I was just like but like Jonathan had time to process it and went ugh.
Yeah. I don't really know what more there is to add to it. I would just say this. There is something funny to me about Jonathan, like very desperately saying when he gets asked the one question, he's like, I played the best I could, but third time's the charm.
Yeah. He's saying, like, please be like that for me.
Yeah. I mean, he'll come back probably. I mean, it's just a matter of time. I mean,
I actually think I don't know. I think his narrative is pretty well settled here.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, like, Jeff loves that guy. Jeff is in love with Jonathan. Like during the Tiff tribal, he was on Jonathan's side when Tiffany was complaining about what was going on, and as we said earlier, those were very valid complaints. So I don't know. This is all to say for me that like I enjoy Jonathan's pain. It's a good, satisfying conclusion is seeing how in the days since the finale, how the salty Jonathan has been. Like
actually one crazy thing I've noticed here. Wait. No, actually I didn't notice anything. I think the Survivor Wiki made a mistake. And that's all.
Okay.
Shout outs to Godsden, Alabama, a place that exists. Anyways, go back to it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that the nice thing about returnee seasons and the nice thing about these live finales is that people are salty and that's okay. Juries are bitter and that's okay. Like I still don't think All Stars is a good season. I will stand by that. But in time, I've realized that the jury being bitter is part of what makes that season a compelling and satisfying narrative. Is like at the end of the day, Rob, the dynamic between Boss and Rob and the jury is really interesting because the jury gets the better of him in the sense that we screwed you out of not screwed you. We validly took $1 million away from you that you believed rightfully should have been yours. But at the same time, Rob himself got the better end of the jury by fucking proposing to the winner. So I mean, it's whatever side you fall on, it's satisfying.
I mean, the game is always how do you like the thing that makes Survivor is how do you make people who you took $1 million away from in their minds give you $1 million. You have to both take $1 million away from someone and get them to give you $1 million. That's a net swing of $2 million in their head. They're pissed off about that.
Yeah. It's Rob had a good bit in All Stars. Yeah. It was good. I want to do two last things before we wrap up here. And that is, I just want to very briefly show my tier list of, I made this like yesterday or 2 days ago, of my contestant tier list, how I feel about all the contestants right now at this present moment in time in 2026. And as you can see, most are positive, most are really positive. There were some duds. I think Aubrey's a satisfying winner. I don't think she's a satisfying character for the most part. Especially this episode, like Coach is still an S because he's still my favorite contestant, though he's at the bottom because I'm not too happy. And then like just the way Stephanie and Chrissy commanded the room was very annoying. And there's some other contestants.
The one thing that puts Chrissy over Stephanie, and actually I think in my mind, actually I put Chrissy in like a D tier because Chrissy had that one confessional which was fired. Everything else was like kind of meh. Yeah. But like that one confessional, everyone that you all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You all know that confessional, excellent. Everything else was like, man.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't really need to break this down necessarily. I mean, this is mostly just my subjective opinions on who I like the most, and I mean, I like most of them. Yeah.
Charlie D, kind of crazy. I'd put him higher. That's my opinion. I think he had a really fun narrative this season.
I would agree, but I think at the end he flanderized himself. He just became for the last 2 episodes. He became I want revenge against people who don't vote for their allies. And to me, he was way more compelling and way more interesting when he was a full person. And then by the end, whether it's the editor's fault or not, he was not that. And then because he got voted out, that's the last I saw from him. And so that was a satisfying way to get eliminated, but not a satisfying character. If that makes sense.
I will say one line. Let's make it a debate, even though you don't want to. Fuck you.
Sure. Go ahead.
He's a normal character on Kahlo because he doesn't have to deal with anyone who's like that. And then he comes in contact with Rizzo, who is that, and you see Rizzo cause him to spiral. It's a descent into madness. And even if it's not like a flanderization of the self, it's like him going, oh shit. And while he was this complete person, he all of a sudden then is like, oh, this wasn't something I was accounting for. This is my flaw, and tunnels. And that to me is cool because you get that, like, again, that's really where the narrative for him comes up, is him all of a sudden going, here's my Achilles heel. We found my Achilles heel. Now all of a sudden this stuff hasn't been processed yet, and now I'm just tunneling.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, I don't think you're wrong at all, and I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I am going to say the reason why Ozzy, who has a similar spiral in the sense, is an S and Charlie is an D, is just because Charlie is fun to watch, Charlie's descent is fun to watch despite his overall character. Ozzy's descent is painful to watch because of his overall character, but makes his narrative and makes his story better. And I think that's the difference. And also, I didn't care about Charlie in 46. So like, come on.
That'll do it.
That's really what this is. I'm glad that he stopped with the Taylor Swift references. Maybe I should have bumped him up to C for that, but I made this in a frenzy, so I can't really speak to that. Other than that, I don't really think there's too much to say. I think I think it's all kind of self-explanatory, especially if you've been listening to the podcast over the past Survivor 50. So, yeah. All right. My other thing that I have to share is, that's something we really have to get into, but I just want to show you Survivor 50's placement on my tier list of Survivor seasons, because now the seasons are done. I have Survivor 50 basically near the end of B tier, a slightly above average season of Survivor. And the reason is because, I think the more interesting thing is I think it's the second worst all returnee season, only ahead of All Stars, just because I think the twist really detracted from the overall game.
Mm-hmm.
The only exception maybe was the Mr. Beast twist, but I think beyond that, in my personal opinion, it really detracted. While I think a season like Winners at War, you could make the same argument, but I think I disagree in that front. So I don't know.
I will say one more thing. When I was watching with my roommate Clara, I got to show her who Russell Hantz was.
Yeah.
That she was like, wow, I didn't know that was a guy who existed. Because I think his name got mentioned at some point.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, whoa, that's crazy.
And that is pretty true. So I guess those are my thoughts on Survivor 50 for now. I mean, we made a 2-hour podcast out of the finale, out of a finale that had interesting bits, but for the most part wasn't really that interesting.
Yeah.
Survivor 51 is coming up. It's going to be an open era, so I'm told. I hope they bring back the have-nots twist from Survivor 50.
Medallion of Power! Hidden immunity item you have to play before votes are cast.
Yes. I'm honestly excited for it just because I think if nothing else, it'll be different. And I do think there's something to be said for the unknown, which is not what the new era has had, except for this season, I guess.
So. I will say it adds for a world where you can do a reasonable Super Idol bluff. Which is cool. You can feel like, they put the Super Idol back. It's a bad idea, but they did it.
Yeah. Billie Eilish Boomerang Idols, they're here. I got my Jimmy Fallon advantage. I hope they double down on the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. Who cares that she did?
I would love it if they got. I love that if they got a different celebrity every time,
or if they just start calling it the Boomerang Idol. That's funny too. If they just they redact Billie Eilish's name.
God, imagine if you get on there and you're like, I got the Boomerang Idol, but you're just like, I got the Phineas Boomerang Idol.
Yeah, come on. How about the Adam Scott Boomerang Idol? He was at the live finale. I don't know. Why not? Not?
That one TikToker, shout out to her.
Yeah. Joey King. Yeah, maybe her. Yeah. I don't know. Many questions to be had. But okay, Sunder, do you have any final thoughts on the season?
I mean, I kind of put them all out there. I think I'll actually, you know what? I'll say, who do I want to see back from this? The answer definitive, who I want to see back. I want to see Kyle. I want to see Q. I want to see Camilla, Genevieve.
Here, let me pull this up.
Christian, Emily, Rick, Tiffany.
Yeah.
That's the bundle.
I think the nature of an all returnee season means I don't necessarily need to see too many people back. But give me Kyle back. Give me Savannah back. I was fiending for more Savannah. Once she got eliminated. Give me Camilla. Give me Christian. I'm gonna say give me another Aussie. Give me another Aussie season.
Could this be Savannah's Game Changers?
It could be. I could see it.
Imagine a beautiful world if that happens.
I just said that I don't need to see a lot of people back, and I'm going to say so many people that I want to see back. Literally, just going tier list down. Give me Christian. Give me Camilla. Give me Ozzy. Give me Rick Devens. Give me D again. Give me Genevieve again. Give me Q again. Give me Kyle again. I don't need to see Emily again. You can give me Savannah again. Rizzo, but maybe 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
And then
Rizzo.
And then
did you say Tiff?
No, I didn't say Tiff because I don't need to see her again. I don't.
Yeah. If they promise to God they'll treat her properly on the show.
It's like if I don't know. It's like if you took like Sierra Dawn Thomas and was like, well, that's actually very rude.
No, don't be saying that. Don't be saying that. Don't be saying that.
But like, it's the edit's the same, where it's like not top 5 character on her first season, not top 5 character on her second season. It's like if after that they're like, Sierra Dawn Thomas, you are a game changer, you know. But you know, whatever. And then maybe Jonathan if I'm feeling nice, but nah.
Don't you. That's not even feeling nice. That's feeling mean to everybody else in the world who's watching Survivor.
I guess, yeah, maybe not. Okay, well those are my thoughts anyway. Yeah. But yeah, so hey, thank you for tuning in, whoever you may be. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We might have some off-season content. I don't know. I kind of do what I feel like. Maybe I'll do Big Brother this season. If they have Suri back on, I'll do it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
What if they put a different Survivor? What if they put someone?
Put Joe on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, thank you for tuning in. I appreciated doing this. And hey, this was a milestone season in the hands of the fans. And thank you, Sunder, for coming on. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Bow to the people. And have a good one, everybody. See ya. Goodbye. And then I say bye.